All right. Hello, everyone. Once again, I am the Philadelphia Whovian, and thank you so much for listening to my video, or sorry, watching my video of my top 10 11th Doctor stories. Now, I know some people don't really like the 11th Doctor or don't like his era. I admit, I'm one of the ones who do love his era. I love it, a lot of his episodes so much. And again, if you don't like him, that's cool. You don't like his era, that's cool. But I do. I am a great fan of his run. Again, there are some episodes of his I don't like, but there are a lot that I definitely do. I like him overall. I like his companions overall. But before I begin my top 10 list, I'm going to give a list of honorable mentions of episodes I like, but they just did not make this list. What can you do? All right, so for the first honorable mention goes to The Day of the Doctor. Yep, the 50th anniversary episode. Now, I know you're like, are you serious? Why is that not on your top 10 list? Overall, guys, I like this story a lot. I love the return of the Zygons. I also like the idea of the Time Lord art being 3D. I like that stuff. I but here's the thing, I'm not that crazy about the side of the story that has to do with the 10th Doctor with Queen Elizabeth and the way the 10th Doctor is during it the majority of the time. I like seeing the 10th Doctor with the 11th Doctor, but I didn't like it as much as I thought I would have. I like 11th Doctor in it. I like Clara with him in it overall, and I'm okay with the War Doctor. I wish we could have gotten more knowledge of him or more time with him, so I got to know him better. I'm also a little bit, to be honest with you, and this is nothing against the character, but I'm a little just don't understand why Rose Tyler was brought back to be the moment, the conscience of the moment. I mean, I understand why she's brought back in the sense that she is a fan favorite. Many people love her. So of course people are going. Moffat's going to bring her back because to connect with the audience. But here's the thing: to me, it would have been more powerful to think for the Doctor to have the moment become a companion from his the past for him. And I know that Moffat did a good job of explaining why it was Rose Tyler or it's Bad Wolf, really, who is the image of the moment, the soul, the conscience, because the moment gets the past and the future mixed up a lot. So it could be Rose, but I just felt like, well, it would have been more effective for the Doctor if he had a companion from Classic who he remembered, he had a knowledge of and history with, so it would have weakened him to see that person again. For the bomb to be Perry, to be Jamie, Zoe, Victoria, Ian, Barbara, Vicky, Joe Grant, Liz Shaw, any of those guys. It just would have made more sense to me in regards to the Doctor's perspective. But again, I don't hold this against this episode though, because that's exactly why they brought back Rose Tyler. Because many people love Rose Tyler. She's a fan favorite to a lot of people. So again, I respect this story. I understand why so many people love it. It just did not make the top 10. Please don't hate me for that. Please, please, please. Another honorable mention goes to Eleven's last episode, The Time of the Doctor. Now, I know some people really don't like this episode, but I love it. Oh my god, I love this so much. Sorry for the flare of the light, by the way. But I love that Matt Smith is. I think he did an amazing job as the Doctor, but in this story, oh my God, his acting was incredible. I thought him and Jenna Coleman were great together. Clara, I liked her in this story. Also, guys, I love handles. I love handles. And then the Doctor becomes an old man, and you see him just. Matt Smith played that age so very well. And, he stayed at Trenzelo, and you see him fighting alongside the Silence and walking with the Silence with a cane in his hand. He looked like a badass. And then also at the end, where he's giving his speech, we all change when you think about it. A beautiful way to go. I'm sorry, guys. If you don't like the story, cool, but I love it. I just do. Another honorable mention goes to Series 7's finale episode, The Name of the Doctor. And I know that many people do not like this story. It's not a perfect story, but man, it affects me every time I watch it. The opening sequence with all the doctors, you see Clara seeing the doctors, love that opening sequence. I love the great intelligence. I like when, so Clara jumps into his timeline to save him, and then 11 jumps in after her, despite the time winds could destroy both of them. And then at the very end, he sees her again, he's like, Clara, and he finds her, he's like, Clara, because it's impossible, you're my impossible girl, just for the hell of it, let me save you. You have to trust me. I'm real Clara. And they hug each other. They hug each other. It's beautiful. And he says, Clara, my Clara. I look at that as a term of endearment, as affection for Clara. People think it's like him being derogatory to her. I don't know why you would get that. That's friendship. That's a bond. It's camaraderie. It's love. Let's have a good moment, okay? So again, I understand why this episode is not perfect to some, and it's not perfect. But for those people who are against this episode because it's like Clara's a plot device, I'm sorry, guys, but truth is, she's not the first companion in New Who to be a plot device. Other companions before her were used as a plot device and also a deus ex machina at the same time. And people love those companions. So if you guys don't hold that against them, I'm not going to hold that against Clara, especially since I saw her save the day in Asylum of the Daleks and the Snowmen. I've seen her do this before, so I'm not going to be that like, oh, she's a plot device. It came out of nowhere. Like, she could do this now. Just not. Another bit of honorable mentions goes to series 6, Night Terrors. People hate that episode. Why? It's this nice, simple, beautiful story of father and son. Son turns out to be an alien. Why would I hate that? It's great. And I love the Doctor in it. Love the Pawns in it. Love it. Love it. Okay, another honorable mention goes to A Good Man Goes to War. Don't get me wrong, I know this episode is awesome. It is. I know some people think it's overrated. No, it's a good episode, guys. It really is. Objectively speaking, it's good. It just did not make the top 10 list because I have 10 episodes I love more. Just for some reason, we all have our subjective list. Another honorable mention goes to The Lodger in series 5. Woo! I love The Lodger. I love everything about it. I know some don't like it, but I love it. Love Craig. Love everything about it from start to finish. My last honorable mention, I think, goes to the two-parter in series 5, The Time of the Angels, Flesh and Stone. I actually prefer that more than Blink because it's more Doctor heavy. The Doctor's more and the companion are more present in it than Blink was. And I think it's the first story that Matt Smith and Jenna did together. That's incredible. Woo! I think it's a great story. So again, I love it. I just have 10 episodes. I just like a little bit more. That's just me. Okay, so for number 10, this is an episode that many people just do not like, but I love. From Series 7, The Crimson Horror. I love it. First, I love the Paternoster gang in it. I love that this is a very unique idea. This episode is very creative to me. We're in a time period that we don't usually get a chance to go to and learn much about. And then Mrs. Gillyflower is a very unique and really entertaining villain to me. Her daughter Ava, whoa, great character. The repulsive Red Leech, I think the direction is really good. So I know I hit some worst episode lists, but I look at it for what it is, not what it isn't, and it's a very good episode for what it is. My number 9, yes, also from series 7. I know this series is held as being garbage, but I also love this episode too. Hide. Hide. It is creepy. And then, the two people in the house, they're looking for ghosts in this house. I mean, that's brave. And I love those two characters. I love them so much. And I love the 11th Doctor and Clara with them. And then, it turns out it wasn't a ghost after all. It was their great, 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 whatever, granddaughter, who crash landed, though she's a time traveler and a brilliant woman. And then you have the monsters in the forest and in the house, and the Doctor, he's running through the forest and he says, I am the Doctor. and I am afraid gave me chills. And I just like everything about this story. I think it's a great story. And the doctor taking pictures on that spot over and over again, I just think it's a creative idea. I love it. It's just, it's me. All right, so for number 8, we have from series 6, another episode that a lot of people do not like, but I like, the God Complex. I like it. The hotel in space where people are brought there from different places in the universe just so they can be cooked on to this, to the Minotaur, who's not just inspired by the Minotaur from ancient Greece, but also is a nice good throwback to the Fourth Doctor story, The Horns of Neman. I and also, I like that the people's fears, like Rita's fears and Howie's fears, they're everyday fears. People think, oh, you don't need a big monstrosity like a huge spider or a big giant creepy thing to be the person's biggest fear. It's usually the everyday things that have the bullies that have bullied us in some way, shape, or form, that haunt us and they never let us go. They're like demons in our mind, or ghosts, if you will. Those are the scariest things to us humans, where we got bullied in some way, shape, or form, or demons we just can't escape. So I like that concept. And the alien who's the coward, who like comes from the planet that just wants to be oppressed, that's a great character. Um, it just added a whole new shade to the story. I think this is very creative story. I just do. I do. What do you I can't change that. Okay, now for number 7 from series 6, also The Doctor's Wife. Call me sexy. Oh God. I know some people do not like this story. I know people who love this story. I freaking love this story. Everything about it. I'm not even going to go into any detail. I just love everything about it. Idris becoming the TARDIS. Oh God, the sentient asteroid, the Ood being there, the patchwork people. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. Oh, and when Idris says goodbye to the Doctor at the very end, love it. Beautiful, beautiful episode. And now for number 6, we've got The Impossible Astronaut and Day on the Moon. Day of the Moon, or yeah, Day of the Moon. Day of the Moon. I'm so sorry, guys. Oh, this series 6 started out with a bang, didn't it? Oh, this two-parter. While I remember I said I like Night Terrors. Oh God, I love how simple it was, the small spacing it was in. It was a very simple story. I love how grand this is. This is epic in every sense of the word. The Silence, I love them. They're incredible villain. But also, um, just like, the idea of connecting it to the idea of a man stepped foot on the moon, 1969, Neil Armstrong, and he used that iconic moment to defeat the Silence. I just, guys, I love this episode. I think this is Moffat at some of his best, actually. Okay, now for number 5, this is an episode that I have people who just don't like, but I love. From Series 5, Vampires in Venice. I love the period. It's going to this, this time period. I love the way it looked. I loved, Isabella and her father, great characters. I love the villain and her son, great villain and son, very good one-off villains. Um, and I think the reason why people don't like this episode is because the vampires weren't really vampires. They were fish people. They were aliens. This is Doctor Who. Okay, this reminds me of that one clip. I saw a cartoon once where it was Scooby-Doo gang, from the cartoon Scooby-Doo. They were unveiling an alien and said, oh, it turns out the alien was just Mr. Jenkins after all. Yeah, it was not an alien, nothing supernatural here or terrestrial. It was extraterrestrial. It was just a human dressed up. And below it was the 11th Doctor with Amy and Rory, and they were unveiling something, and it said, oh, it turns out Mr. Jenkins was really an alien after all. So this human was an alien in their case. That's what I look at Vampires in Venice like. It's just, of course it's an alien. It's Doctor Who. I know there were vampires in the Fourth Doctor's era, real vampires, but I don't hold that against this episode. I like it a lot, but that could just be me. But I'm cool with that too. Mhm. So also for number 4 from series 5, the Pandorica opens the Big Bang. I'm not going to go into any detail why I love this. I think it's a great series 5 finale. It is excellent. It is awesome. It is epic in every single way. Boom, bam. Oh yeah, the doctor's speech. Great. Love it. Love it. Mhm. Number 3, also from series 5, Amy's Choice. Oh, I love the Dream Lord as a villain. He's a great villain. I would like the idea for him to be, well, he was connected to the Doctor's subconscious and he did feed off of the Doctor's mind. I would like the idea of him also still somehow magically becoming a separate entity, somehow as the show continued, but probably not. Either way, the idea of choosing between those both worlds, which one's real, which one's fake, and then they both turn out to be fake, and 11 knows it by the end. I just think it's wonderful. Ooh. Oh, and I love how Amy made up to Roy what she did because that's the one thing that always affected me with Amy. How she cheated, was willing to cheat on Roy. It hurt me, but then I always remember, wait a minute, guys. Yeah. She was waiting for the doctor for 14 years, and then she was suffering from post-traumatic shock from the angel being her mind, almost dying many times. This woman is just simply not right, and she's mentally imbalanced at that time. But Amy's choice just made up to that. I'm not a big fan of cheating at all, for obvious reasons. But you know what, Amy, there were circumstances behind Amy's situation, and Amy's choice just helped rectify that situation. Number 2, the very first episode of the 11th Doctor, the 11th hour. This is, to me, that is a. I know some people who hate the 11th Doctor era, they think it's overrated. What do you do for you? It's an excellent story. It's a fantastic way to introduce the Doctor. It was wonderful from start to finish. Prisoner Zero, the Atraxi, or I think it's the Atraxi. And then the Doctor has no TARDIS, no screwdriver, but he solves the day just on his intelligence, being clever. That was cool. Amy and Roy were great in it too. And also when they're on the rooftop and the Doctor just got changed after being a badass, like he just burst through the doors and he got the clothes on and he's like, now is this planet protected? Because there have been many people who came before you and look what happened to them all. And it showed up all the faces of the Doctor from the first Doctor to the 10th Doctor, and then 11 bursts through it and says, hello, I'm the Doctor. Boom 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 ba-dum ba-dum bum bum. Basically, run. Perfect. Perfect, perfect episode. Love you, 11. Loved you from the get-go. Then for the number 1 choice, oh, number 1, Vincent and the Doctor. Oh wow. I just love this episode so much. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Focus, focus. Oh, to hell with it. I I love Vincent and the Doctor so much. So very much. And Tony Curran, which is the actor who they got to play Vincent Van Gogh, he was so good in it. And when they take Vincent to the Musée d'Orsay in the future to see how his art does become awesome, people love him. They think he's the greatest artist ever. It was so beautiful. And he kisses Mr. Dr. Black, the curator, and then Amy, inspired him to paint the sunflowers, and then he painted the sunflowers for Amy at the very end. And then you see him in his own time not being appreciated, and it shows you that just because you don't are not appreciated in your own time, still keep fighting, still keep going, just go for it. And I love it so much. Oh my god. Okay, sorry, I'm fine. Okay, just again, this is my top 10 of my favorite 11th Doctor episodes, guys. I hope you enjoyed this list. If you disagree with it, I understand. I do. Peace and love. Peace and love. Now on to the 12th Doctor. I'm going to take some time before I finally do a top 10 of the 12th Doctor episodes because here's the thing. It's been years since 11th Doctor and years since 10 and years since the Classic Who, and I'm finally doing a top 10 for them. Well, because time helps you it helps your perspective. Episodes you loved at the time, you might not like over time anymore, or episodes you hated at the time, you might learn to love, or episodes that everyone hates and you kind of jumped on the bandwagon because you're afraid to disagree with people. Time helps you strengthen yourself against that and say, you know what, I know you guys hate this episode, but I love it. It gives you time to get away from the prejudice of towards an episode. So I'm going to take some time before I finally do a 12th Doctor top 10 so I can have a fresh perspective. I'm going to go back and rewatch his season to make sure. So I love the 12th Doctor overall, but I'm going to take some time before I finally decide, do I love, which episodes of his are my faves. But again, this is my favorite of the 11th Doctor era. Again, I hope you enjoyed yourselves so very much. This era of a Doctor that I absolutely love. So, once again, thank you for stopping by, and I am the Philadelphia Whovian, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your week.